Yes, mates, how's it going? My name's Lee, and welcome back to the FPL Punk YouTube channel, where we try to dominate FPL one game week at a time. So today I'm going to use fixtures, data, and a slight hint of bias to highlight my main transfer targets for game week 6. If you enjoy FPL, please subscribe to the channel down below. Anyway, let's rock and roll.
Get strong.
Right, mates, first up is none other than Arsenal defender Gabriel. 6 million, 13.6% owned. He's made 4 appearances in the league so far with 3 clean sheets and 1 goal involvement. He scored against Spurs in the last game week. I'm recording this before the Man City game. That's the reason why he's only made 4 appearances so far. In terms of some of his key stats per 90, Arsenal have conceded 0.25 goals per 90, so they've only conceded 1 goal in the 4 games. That's the reason why it's 0.25. But expected goals per 90 is actually 1.08, so they're expected to concede a goal a game. So something's not quite adding up. And as much as I love Arsenal assets and the Arsenal defensive assets, they are due to concede a few goals here and there. So it looks great on paper, but I'll be kind of overthinking it and overanalyzing it when they probably will concede sooner rather than later, and they'll stop keeping these clean sheets. But what I like about Gabriel as opposed to a Saliba is that he does have expected goal threat. Saliba has literally nothing. I don't think he's had a single shot in the league so far, whereas Gabriel has had a few shots. I think averages about 1 shot per game, which is usually a header from a corner. So his XG is 0.13. Isn't too bad for a central defender, and he's getting 7.2 points per 90. And his last game against Spurs was massive 15 points. It massively kind of skewed these stats. But the big thing about Arsenal is these fixtures from game week 6 to game week 8. Leicester at home, Southampton at home, Bournemouth away. His predicted points is underneath each one of the fixtures. So against Leicester, he's predicted to get 5.6 points. Against Southampton, it's 5.7 points. He's great for those first 3 games, but the next 3 in 9, 10 and 11, which is Liverpool, Newcastle and Chelsea, you might want to transfer him out after that point. I think if you're on a game week 6 wildcard, I think he's 100% lot Gabriel. I'd probably go double Arsenal defence, and Saka is probably what I'd be thinking about. But have a plan in mind for that game week 9, because if you've got Trent and maybe Mo Salah there as well, in game week 9 you've got 5 players all playing the same fixture. Just something to keep in mind. But for these first 3 fixtures, Leicester, Southampton, Bournemouth, he is just a prime transfer target, particularly for defence, where we're not keeping a lot of clean sheets so far. Let's move on to some midfielders. My first midfield transfer target is none other than Mbeumo. 7.1 midfielder for Brentford, 10.1% owned. 5 appearances so far, 4 goals, no assist. It seems Gabriel is a really obvious one, and sometimes the obvious ones just make sense, and there's no point ignoring it. It's a really great option. So some of his key stats per 90, he's getting 2.26 shots per 90 with 2.1 key passes. That's with his XG and XA. He's got an XG of 0.38 per 90 and an XA of 0.29. And what's great about Mbeumo is the fact he's on penalties as well. And because Tony's gone and Wiss is now injured, there's a lot of kind of responsibility on onus for Mbeumo to do well. It'd be really interesting to see who plays up front, whether that's Shada or they go someone like Fabio Carvalho who plays up front. It'd just be really interesting to see how they're going to kind of maneuver it from there. But so far, we're getting 6.6 points per 90, and he's just got some great games coming up. West Ham at home in 6, Wolves at home in 7, even Man United away in 8. Like I don't hate it for the way Brentford play, quite counter-attacking. He could cause us some problems in there. Ipswich at home in 9, Fulham away in 10, and Bournemouth at home in 11. Some of his predicted points for those games are just below. So at home to West Ham, 5.8, Wolves at home 6, so on and so forth. Is such a great option, particularly for his price point. I think you can almost bring anybody down if you want to move some money around. If you've got somebody like a Salah that you want to bring some, you want to take some money out, and you don't own Haaland, and you want to move some things around, and you might want to get to Haaland eventually. Taking Salah down, so like a Mbeumo might be something that you might consider, but he's going to be very heavily owned on the game week 6 wild card. So keep it in mind. For me, he's almost a definite going to come in for game week 6. He's such a great option. Let's move on to the next midfield transfer target. Next up, and this is where the hint of bias may come in. He's not a transfer target for me because I own him. I'm just banging the drum by Bruno Fernandes. That's all I'm saying. I just think he's great. I absolutely love him. Man United midfield at 8.4 million. His price might drop tonight as well, and he's only 11% owned so far. His appearances, he's had 4 appearances, and he's playing right now against Palace. It's currently at half time, and he's got 1 assist so far in the league with no goals. But his stats are just crazy per night. He's getting 3.3 shots per 90, 1.03 key passes. He's got an XG of 0.36 and an XA of 0.3. So he's getting expected goal involvement of 0.66 per 90. He's overdue a massive return. He's playing really well again in this Palace game in the first half, so it's only a matter of time before he actually does something. I'm just going to keep banging that drum. I'm biased, I don't care. I absolutely love him. I own him right now, and I just think he's being massively overlooked. He's only owned by 11% of the game so far. And we've actually got a great run of games. I don't even mind the fixtures in game week 6 and game week 7 from an attacking point of view. I think they're not great from a defensive point of view, but particularly from an attacking point of view, like I don't mind them at all. With Spurs at home in 6, and he's expected to get 5.4 points in that game. In game week 7, Aston Villa away is predicted to get 4.9 points. And game week 8 to game week 11 is quite nice. Brentford at home in 8, West Ham away in game week 9, Chelsea at home in game week 10, and Leicester at home in game week 11. We've got a nice little run after that as well. Keeping the back of your mind and think, you know what did FPL Punk say about those Man United assets? Is he a bit biased? Yeah, probably, but Bruno's still a great option, that's all I'm saying. So have a think, and if you don't want to buy him, don't buy him. But I've got him, and eventually he's going to bang, and I'm just going to be like, told you so. So do what you want, innit? Anyway, let's move on to the next transfer target. Up next, we've got a really obvious one, and there's obviously a recurring theme to this because Arsenal have got a great run of fixtures. Arsenal midfielder Bukayo Saka, midfielder for Arsenal, 10 million, 28.6% owned, and he's going to go through the roof from game week 6. That ownership I think he's going to be over 40-50% owned from game week 6 onwards. And so far in the Premier League, he's got 4 appearances, 1 goal and 4 assists. And some of his key stats per 90, 2.88 shots per 90 with 1.51 key passes, an XG of 0.36 and an XA of 0.27. And he's getting 7.8 points per 90. And with Odegaard being out, a lot of the emphasis might be on Saka to create something or do something. Also on penalties as well, which I really like. So we don't have that kind of issue that he might share penalties with Odegaard, because Odegaard is obviously out. Then it's got to put a lot of the emphasis on Saka to do something, and he will take the penalties as a result of that. So yeah, I just think it's a really, really great option for his price there as well. So, and same with Gabriel, and same with all the other different Arsenal assets. They've just got a great run from 6 till 8. Leicester at home, and he's predicted to get 7.4 points in game week 6. In game week 7 at home to Southampton, going to get 7.3 points predicted within that game. In game week 8 away to Bournemouth, and he's predicted to get 6.4 points. From game week 9 to game week 11, yeah, they are tough games, but the thing is with Saka that he's so talismanic for Arsenal, and he's so influential for the way Arsenal play. I think I'd probably just keep him for this, whereas I might consider transferring Gabriel out. I'm probably going to keep Saka for this one. Liverpool at home in game week 9, he still predicts to get 6.6 points, which is great. Like I'd take that all day long. In game week 10 away to Newcastle, predicts to get 6.2 points. Same again, great. He might just be a season keeper. I started with him, I've taken him out. I think when I bring him in now, I think I might just keep him. And I just need to remember that when it does get to game week 9 and he might blank against Liverpool and he might blank against Newcastle, but he will pick returns up eventually. And I just need to remember that. Like, I just need to remember that he will bang and he will do well. And he'll just take along nicely over the course of the season. So I think I'm... Same with Mbeumo, he's pretty much a guaranteed buy for me unless something crops up. The first forward I've chosen as a transfer target is Dominic Solanke. 7.5 million forward for Spurs, 7.9% owned. He's made 5 appearances so far, and he's finally got a goal in his most recent game. Some of his key stats per 90 are pretty crazy, to be fair. He's getting 3.5 shots per 90. He's getting 0.5 key passes per 90, and he's got an XG of 1.07. So he's predicted to score a goal a game so far. So he's massively underperforming his data. So it's only a matter of time before he gets a brace or even a hat trick in his upcoming games. I think he's going to do really well over these next few games. And even the grey or the red fixtures, I don't think it matters so much for a forward, and not for a forward playing in a good team like Spurs. In game week 6, they're playing Man United away. He's predicted to get 5.1 points. I think it's a good game for Spurs. Just the way they play and the way that we play. We are very much kind of sit back. We're not great at pressing. I think Spurs will dominate the ball. I think they'll get chances, and whether Solanke's on the end of that, I think he might be able to capitalise them. But like, we are kind of focusing on that game week 7 and game week 8. So Brighton away, although it's probably, I think it's a harder game than what FPL makes out in terms of their fixture difficulty rating. But he's still predicted to get 5 points in that game. West Ham at home in game week 8, predicted to get 5.6 points. Crystal Palace away, predicted to get 5 points in game week 9. Game week 10, home to Aston Villa 5.5. points predicted for that one. And Ipswich at home in game week 11 predicted to get 6 points. I think it's a great option for his price point, and I think if you've got a couple of players that you're not too keen on, or you've got some kind of injury issues at the back, like my forward line is a bit of a mess. I've got Isak, João Pedro, and Wissa. I'm probably gonna have to do something. Like, I know Isak played 90 minutes, but he blanked again. Newcastle didn't look great again, so I might have to do something there where I maybe should on Solanke this week. It might be an option moving forward, but definitely an option for me, particularly from game week 7 onwards. I might bring him in for that game week 6. I think I've got bigger issues where I want to bring in as many Arsenal as possible. So I might have to wait a week for now, unfortunately. But if you are thinking of bringing him in, leave a comment down below and tell me your reasons why. On to my last transfer target, Arsenal forward Kai Havertz, 8.1 million, 17% owned, which is quite surprising. Like, I didn't think he was going to be that highly owned. He's made 4 appearances so far, 2 goals, 1 assist, and he's same with a lot of these players. Like, he's got some decent per 90 data. He's getting 2.5 shots per 90, 1 key pass per 90. His XG is 0.42, an XA of 0.03. His expected assist is terrible, but his expected goal of 0.42 is it's pretty reasonable. Like it's quite respectable, to be fair. And he's getting his points per 90 is bang on 6. Same with the other Arsenal assets, and I keep banging on about that. They've got a great run between 6 and 8 with Leicester, Southampton, Bournemouth in those games, and then Liverpool, Newcastle, and Chelsea. What's putting me off slightly from Havertz is the fact that Odegaard's injured, so he might play midfield in the odd game, and they might play Trossard as a number 9, which does put me off ever so slightly. Like, I still think he's a great option, even if he does play in the midfield area, because I do think he'll drift into the box and he'll float into the box, and I do still think he'll get chances. But it puts me off slightly that we've almost got like a reverse out of position player where he's a forward, but he's almost playing like a midfield number 10 kind of role, which I don't really like. So that's put me off a little bit. I still think he's a good option, but that's put me off a little bit. But some of his predicted points within those games, game week 6 is predicted to get 6.1 points versus West at home. In game week 7, at home to Southampton, predicted to get 6 points, and in game week 8, away to Bournemouth, predicted to get 5.2 points. It's probably similar to Saka. He's very much like a longer term hold player. So like when you look at those fixtures in game week 9, 10, 11, I think I'd just kind of stick with it, and he might blank in a couple of them, but over the course of maybe 10, 15 game weeks, he's going to do well. And so if you're going to bring him in, make sure you're keeping him for the longer term. I think if you're on a wild card, he's a strong consideration. Right, mates, that's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed. So today went for my main transfer targets for game week 6. A little bit hint of bias in there, but I don't care. I'm a Man United fan. I'm going to be loud and proud about it. So do your worst. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and leave a comment down below. Good luck for game week 6. Have a good day. Peace and love.